Our next question is from Mariana with Bank of America. Mariana, can you please turn on your camera, and then you'll receive a prompt to unmute your line.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I have two questions, one in U.S. government and the second one today on financials. So the first one is this. You mentioned in your prepared remarks, reaccelerating U.S. government growth and opportunities across the board. But this is contrasting to what we have heard from the primes this quarter. They have agreed that more things are moving towards software, but they argue that the DoD has to figure out how to buy software, and they have to figure out how to sell software. From your point of view, how large is the change that is needed in this award approach? But also, how large is the advantage that Pallantier has in this environment where you have been selling software for a long time now?
Yeah, look, we've been doing this for 2 decades, as you point out, and I think that gives us a perspective of what was it like 2 decades ago and what is it like now. And it's wildly different, and so much has changed. Now, I don't want to underestimate how much has to continue changing, and I think the department recognizes that and is working on that. But to not acknowledge the progress, I think would be disingenuous here. Unlike the primes who used to focus on hardware and now responding to software, we've always focused on software. One of the things about software is it evolves incredibly quickly. If you think about the software we were deploying to do the Afghan non-combatant evacuation operations and how much that evolved moving into Ukraine, how much that evolved moving into the current crisis in CENTCOM, it is evolving faster than procurement can procure it. And I think one of the unique strengths that we have is that we are investing and mutating and managing the software independent of the actual procurement actions. And that means that we always have software that's so far in the future that it will meet the moment that the DoD actually has.
As an addendum to that, the core thesis of Pallantier was always the reality of a disjointed, violent world forces Pareto-optimal conditions on institutions. So I believe that everyone knows we have the best software in the world. It may not matter in a non-dangerous environment, but it did matter in Ukraine and Israel, and who did they buy? It does matter. Our software is running in, I'll never know what I'm allowed to say, but in among the most critical places in the DoD. If we are forced to fight a 3-pronged war, you cannot do that even from a perspective of keeping our munitions ready without accurate software. So the more dangerous, the more real it gets, the more battle-tested and real your software has to be. I believe it's about to get very real. Why? Because our GDP growth is significantly better than China's. Now, I know the always wrong crowd says we then should get peace, but I'm telling you that the rational result of the rational consequence of that is our adversaries are like, America's going to be stronger tomorrow than today. It's like they don't have a GDP story because they do not build these systems as well as we do. They do not have the tech community we do, and they do not have the U.S. market like we do. Look at our results. And so as this becomes more and more dangerous, every company in the world, whether they're small, big, whether they're a startup, whether they're one of the largest primes, or whether us, is going to have to actually prove their software works on the battlefield. We love that. We want to prove, and we welcome and relish proving environments. If it was up to me, software would only be deployed at America and Western allies if it was proven on the battlefield. Unfortunately, for us, our adversaries are going to force that kind of adjudication. And how do we? And then and for those of you who can't evaluate that because you don't have access to our software on the battlefield, though you could read the news and see what Israel has done and what Ukraine has done. Look what's happening in U.S. commercial. You have a completely rational environment where we're deploying and growing the way we're growing with almost no sales force. And it's because it really matters. And when it really matters, the fact that they may not like my jokes or my habits, it will protect your life. And that's why we're going to do well.
Thank you, Alex.